Hello everyone and welcome to the Animezillia, and thank you for joining me as we discuss chapters 52 to 68, covering the Bet arc, the Workshop Battle, the One Shot, One Opportunity, and the Archimedes arcs from the Tower of God webtoon series. A set of great arcs that helps bring back the cast of Season 1 looking like badasses. Plus, we also get to see some new faces and a good amount of development from every character that was involved in these arcs. I thought it was great, and we get some good interactions between old and new characters that help keep things fresh, lively, and fun. So let's start off by talking about Khun's character. Throughout this arcs, he showed a lot of emotional changes, especially in the mentality department, as this kind of makes sense based off of what we saw from him in the last couple of arcs. You know, he had lost quite a lot. He did not know the whereabouts of Ran and Novik. Plus, Khun in these arcs finds Dan, who has been beaten up and attacked around the legs area, and of course finds his other teammate, the Birdman, lying dead in bed, with the letters Foog written all over the wall. Rachel is missing, and immediately Khun jumps to conclusions and basically just kind of blames Rachel for having some sort of involvement. I quite like that because, again, it plays back on his skepticalness that he already had, as we saw in previous arcs, where he tells Shibisu that he thinks that Rachel lied about the outcome of the administrator test. Now, we also see a training arc in Khun kind of training and improving Team Sweet and Sour. This was great to see, as Khun's reactions to their different skills and abilities was pretty good on display overall. Plus, his mentality in understanding his new teammates helped bring a new kind of dynamic to Khun's character we've not really seen before. Of course, Team Sweet and Sour were nervous, and Khun, he's always been around strong and capable people like Hats, like Rax, like Bam, even, I'll include Bam in that, people who are all strong physically or mentally. But Team Sweet and Sour, right now as they are, they're probably the most kind of close to being normal human beings that we've seen from the series thus far. Well, minus the human flamethrower, but I mean, even she has her flaws and weaknesses. So I quite like that. You know, the dynamic of Khun being this super smart character that's always been around strong and reliable people and teammates, now having to work with basically normal human beings that don't have much of a Shinzu presence or power of any some sorts. However, seeing him kind of warming up to his new teammates in Team Sweet and Sour was a good piece of development for Khun's character, allowing us to see small changes in Khun's point of views. This was really good because it does show that Khun isn't narrow-minded. He's open to ideas, and although he does kind of grumble and moan and kind of make a big deal out of things, he still does care deep down. And we can tell that he cares about his new team because he stays behind and listens to Wang Nan's kind of tantrum and kind of helps him find Prince and the little girl that are missing currently. Now, I really did like this because, again, it plays on a small development for Khun. Plus, it kind of acts like, because Khun knows that this was Bam's former team, this is something that Bam would like to come back to. So he's trying to protect it and trying to preserve it so that once they actually get Bam back, he has somewhere to kind of belong again. And I really do like that. I love the conversation between Khun and Dan. Dan is basically still wanting to climb the tower despite his injuries, despite repeating what he dreaded in the first place in seeing his teammates die in front of him. We learned that Dan was basically with another group before all this, and the reason as to why he decided not to climb anymore is because he blamed himself. His group was attacked and only he just barely escaped. He ran away, but not anymore. He's tired of running away. He doesn't want to hide and cower in fear. Instead, he wants to stand up and fight, regardless of his current condition. And this just basically adds loads of credit and loads of kind of greatness to his character. Because honestly, I didn't think I would like Dan's character very much. He doesn't have much of the appeal factor, nor does he excite me that much. However, this bit of dialogue, this conversation between these two characters, greatly improved my perspective on Dan as a character, and I can't wait to see what his resolve leads him to in the end. So then the next set of characters I want to talk about are the cast from Season 1. More specifically though, at the moment, Hats and Shibisu. These two characters were absolutely fantastic. Hats was giving off this more serious vibe, maybe with a hint of sinister mixed in as well, showing off a lot more improvement in his sword skills when fighting Casino, seemingly beating an enemy that he's previously been bested by before. This was great. Seeing Hats come in and just absolutely clean house and kind of take this guy down for the most part was awesome. Plus, we do learn that he gets a bit more development later on in future arcs because his sword breaks. This, of course, is critical for any swordsman, because swordsmen tend to kind of train with one sword over and over again until they've mastered it and until they kind of can't learn anymore. Hats, of course, got to that point, but now has to relearn a new type of sword and maybe a new type of style that fits it. This excites me. This makes me want to invest in Hats a lot more, and overall I just like the display given. So real quick then, while I was editing this video, I remembered something about Hats' character, and it's a bit of dialogue that appeared back in Season 1. Honestly, I can't remember who said it, but someone did tell Hats that once you get past a certain floor, all swordsmen are pretty much useless and he should give up on using the sword. Now, if he had taken that seriously, he would have either quit back then using the sword, or this would be a great time to quit now that his sword is actually broken. And honestly, we don't see that. Instead, we see Hats looking for a new sword, and he actually goes to try and find that. So this means that he does have a lot of dedication to his own craft and his own skills and training, to the point where he's not listening to anybody that gave him any advice as so. This is great because, again, it shows just how dedicated and how good Hats is as a character and how committed he really is as well. So for that, great. I thought I'd mention it because I know someone is probably thinking about that same scene. Back to the normal video. Given. Plus, he had that great line in where he stated that the food chain hierarchy was about to change. Great stuff, and he seems to be wanting to go after Viole quite a lot, which did make me think that maybe Hats is like from a royal bloodline, because obviously Hats, Viole was like, I'm going to take down the 10 great households. So maybe Hats has a connection to that, but at the same time, I'm not really buying too much into that at the moment. I just like the fact that he's a bit more serious now. But then again, didn't Hats use 2 swords in Season 1? What happened to his blue one? We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I thought it was a great representation from Hats' character. Now let's talk about Shibisu. Again, another character that gained a lot of respect for in this set of arcs. And for me personally, because I really did like the display of Shibisu here, showing off that he really is a great leader in being able to plan, assess, and act based on the current situation at hand. Plus, he looks good during this kind of representation and showing of his character. Like, he didn't look goofy, he didn't look comedic. Instead, he looked serious, he looked focused, and this was good. I had a lot of people tell me when I was first starting these reviews that you shouldn't sleep on Shibisu. Shibisu's actually really good. And I was like, what, really? Nah, Shibisu ain't that great. He's just comedic, he's goofy. But now I see exactly what they're talking about. Gone is the tracksuit, and hello, cool guy outfit. Yeah, the outfit and the new designs for all the Season 1 cast look amazing on them, and I really like the freshness and the kind of vibes they give off with those outfits. There's one scene that I really did like with the whole Season 1 cast plus a few new faces walking towards like the battlefield, saying like they've declared war or they're going after Viole, whatever his other names are. And that scene just looked awesome. So back to Shibisu. It's worth noting that most of Shibisu's teammates seem to now respect him a lot, to the point where they're happily following his plans, which, seeing characters like Anak, who is very kind of prideful and very headstrong, follow Shibisu's orders was very surprising. So this means that he has done something between the end of Season 1 and now, in that time gap, that has greatly improved the team's outlook on him, to the point where they'll follow him and kind of respect him. The only person that didn't really kind of respect him that much was Endorsi. But hey, you can't control Endorsi. And speaking of Anak, her fighting with Ran was awesome. Two highly skilled characters clashing with a lot of great techniques. Both sides did not give an inch. We had Ran with the Machine style, who, thank you to the comment that pointed out that Ran used the same style as one of the princesses we saw in the start of Season 2. I didn't really make the connection because I wasn't really paying attention on that front, but thanks again for raising that up. That's why I like all these great comments. Keep them coming. And Anak with their own fighting style. Both unique, both kind of strong, and hopefully we get to see a rematch between these two characters because Bam had to end this in order to kind of save both of them and send them up to the next level. So again, let's talk about the best girl, Endorsi. She shined in these arcs, getting information that led to her team finding out where Foog is. And honestly, some of the information she found were information she shouldn't be finding out. Like about Bam being alive. Like about Emily, or Amelia, I think it's Emily. The mysterious kind of AI character that's inside the device that's giving all these orders. And kind of advice and directions. Finding out all about that from a mysterious character that we do not know much about. Now, I could have missed something here, but this character that tells Endorsi about Bam being alive, I had no idea how this character or this guy knows that Bam is not Viole. Because I don't remember Bam/Viole telling him that his name is Bam, because every time this guy called Viole Bam, he said, "No, I'm Viole." And he's like, "No, you can't be. You're too kind. Don't fool me, Mr. Bam." And it's like, you know, I don't know how this character knew. Hopefully we find out soon. Maybe he's a scout and he found some information by overhearing someone. But at the same time, I thought it was something that could be expanded on in the future. And we don't really know his kind of goals overall. However, if you know the reason, and it's not a massive spoiler, feel free to let me know. Lastly, about Endorsi's character, her personality was greatly on display here, and it really helped liven up the chapters a lot more. Some of these chapters were quite dark and quite serious and quite kind of fast-paced. But when Endorsi was on the screen, she made it seem lively, she made it bobbly. Like some of those TV segments she had where she was being interviewed were awesome. And it kept the reader kind of guessing as to what her ulterior motive or personal goal is throughout. Because basically she's going off on her own to do stuff. Yes, we know Endorsi's a little bit greedy and she likes to show off how strong she is. So she's going to go after the strongest guy. And this makes sense. But at the same time, she might have something else in the works. We just don't know yet. Her comedic value was excellent. Like, I loved the comedy and the kind of vibes she gave off. I've already mentioned that. But again, overall, a brilliant reintroduction to the cast of Season 1. And it showed off some nice new faces that hopefully we get to see moving forward. Like, what's up with that octopus character that can control the big octopus that likes the creepy hobby of turning people into dolls? Okay, yeah, maybe not. So now, hopping over to the fence to the other side, let's talk about Foog. Bam was almost playing a game of 4D chess in these arcs, as he wanted to avoid fighting his old friends, and yet adopted to sending them up to the ship thanks to the rules of this game. And I thought that was a little bit confusing. Why not just make him fail so that he doesn't have to deal with them moving forward? And Foog would then not see him as much of a threat. But one thing I really did love about Bam from these arcs was the human side that he showed. As we see that his character kind of showing off these emotions of camaraderie and respect and concern, more so, to Yuto when he gets stung. Foog is a team that Bam doesn't necessarily want to be a part of, but is being blackmailed into working for, and yet he still looks out for his new teammates. Of course, he tries to beat the honey bee kind of character from Shibisu team in order to get the antidote to cure Yuto. This I thought was really good because it does tie into Bam's character and how he likes to not lose teammates. And it links back to that awesome line I should say, in where Bam states that he wants to get stronger so he never has to say goodbyes again. And again, it shows just how strong Bam has actually gotten. Bam in this situation had no access to Shinsu, and yet he still managed to pull out a victory in physical combat. I don't think I'll be saying that in one of my reviews because Bam isn't that physically strong in terms of being buff or, strength. And yet he didn't want Yuto to die. And again, he may have been thinking that if he let Yuto die, and he died because of Bam's friends, this would anger the higher-ups in Fook, and that could cause more dangerous members of Fook to target his friends. It's a possibility. Fook seems to be a place where not everyone is on the same wavelengths. So basically, all someone has to do is get really angry, and then they'll be set on Team Shibisu, I suppose. Now, Bam's skills were great to see. However, when facing a smarter opponent like Endorsi, Bam could have been giving off hints as to basically who he actually is. I personally don't think this was the case though, because this could endanger his friends if Fook found out that Bam was telling his former friends that, he's still alive when that's meant to be a secret. And the fact that Bam acknowledged at the end of the kind of hand being destroyed at the beginning of the Bet arc that it was only because he slipped up that Khun got targeted. It makes sense to think that Bam wouldn't make any unnecessary mistakes, like letting on that he is still alive to his former friends. But to play devil's advocate, I will give a counter-argument as to why Bam could be telling Endorsi who he actually is through the actions of combat. Saying something like, "Oh, it's me, Bam. Back off and leave me alone. Let me do what I came here to do." Then again, if he does something like that, then surely he should know Endorsi better enough, or his friends better enough, to basically say, "Look, I'm going to tell you this, leave me alone, I've got my own reasons." But that would make his friends more curious. So again, it just leaves a lot of loopholes and a lot of questions. I think Bam's skills were great. There was a comment by Endorsi that stated that, "Oh, that's one of Bam's techniques." And this, of course, raises a bit of awareness and a bit of suspicion in Dorsi's mind. But at the same time, I don't think Bam was doing this deliberately. I think this was just the best move that he could use to kind of temporarily get away from the Princess of Jahad. So, let's clear that up. Now, the red-headed guide, whose name you see up on screen, I'm not going to try and butcher that, her participation in these arcs was a weird one. To me, it seems like that she has a soft spot for Bam's character, almost wishing him to be happy while they are using him to complete their own plans and goals, showing us that she somewhat has a bit of a human heart. Confirming the fact that Bam is indeed Viole to Khun, making sure that Khun knows that he is still alive, and making that compromise and basically telling Khun, "Look, you can see Bam, and you can also be a part of his team if you have the winning team at the workshop battle arc." So basically, the winning team, if Team Sweet and Sour win, then Bam can jump onto their team, because that's the deal and compromise that has been created. Hopefully we do learn more about this character though, because she's very intriguing and we know next to nothing about her, plus she has a great design, so I'm not going to be too worried about that. Now, one last point I want to make quickly, just jumping back to Anak's character. I forgot to mention this earlier, but Anak's character, I don't like her new design that much. With the new hairstyle, she looks kind of like a boy, and I get it, she might be trying to hide her personality a little bit, so that people from Ren's division don't try and attack her again or come after her, because she's, obviously a breed of human and princess, so maybe she's trying to change her look up a little bit. I just thought that this look didn't do her any justice, and it makes her look like a guy. Just saying. Anyway, back to Fook members. The scene in where Hyoyang visited Sophia after so long of him wanting to do so was really heartwarming. I loved the vibes and the mood that this scene gave off, giving us a nice heart-to-heart moment between these characters. This guy, obviously, as we saw in the previous arc with the Devil's arc, he stated that she was someone that he really loved because of her and the fact that she treated him like a human instead of like an object or a tool. he gained a lot of respect and a lot of love for this character, and finally he got to see her again. This just made me go, ah. However, the thing I loved about this though was it was a very nice heartwarming moment, and yet they were setting up bigger things to come in the form of potentially a fully completed ignition weapon human. There was a little creepy guy there with some bandages around his head that was kind of showing off weird dialogue. And this character obviously is the next experimentation. And this, I thought, was kind of intriguing because we get to see this character hopefully perform in the weapons arc, in the workshop battle arc. If that's the case, let's see it. And the best thing about this, however, was seeing Secret Agent Leiraro appear. I mean, we don't really know that he's in this current department. I think he's in the department with the big egg and Amelia in it, really. But however, I want to know what he's doing, why he's there, and I can't wait to see what he's planning to do. Do I think Quint's there as well? Probably not, because Quint is not suitable for an undercover mission. I think when Leiraro and Quint are together, it's very comedic. So seeing, Quint there with Leiraro, if that's gonna happen, I can see their cover being blown very, very quickly. So hopefully it's just Leiraro. And finally, let's talk about Rak. He appears, and he seems to be more intelligent in this ending of the arcs. And his interactions with Khun was really good, and it just floods you with a lot of nostalgia while you read. It makes you think that the good old days are something that could possibly come back. Unfortunately, I personally don't believe they are. I think the good old days from Season 1 are long behind us, and more things are to come. Surprisingly, I really like Rak's character from this arc, showing off that he's a bit more reserved, and he's willing to wait and, kind of assess and understand a situation before revealing himself. I thought that was really good because it shows a bit and a good amount of development for his character in saying that he's not just someone who's going to rush into battle or run in and grab Khun and attack him and say, "What are you doing, turtle?" It shows that he does have restraint, and this is awesome. Plus, he's small again, which is kind of useful and kind of cute at the same time. Team Sweet and Sour seem to really like him, although they call him a dinosaur, not an alligator. Oh well. Overall, these were some amazing arcs with a lot of great action that helped show off the art style and the techniques in such a fantastic and creative and unique way that just added to the enjoyment of all of the chapters that were involved. All of the scenes setting up matches or rematches for future arcs were great. Hopefully, we get to see some nice, fun, interesting and creative kind of dynamics between different characters. Personally, I would love to see a match between Wang Nang and Shibisu, or a full-powered Bam/Viole versus Endorsi in serious mode. I think that would be awesome. And although the fighters are going to be somewhat interesting and awesome, the fights are going to be great, we know this, I'm highly interested in the Leiraro stuff. I want to see how this contributes to the overall plot, and how the plot itself just moves forward altogether. Like I said, hopefully some really creative stuff comes along, and it's not just like a tournament arc where two people battle and then the winner goes on. I want there to be some sort of test or some sort of game involved. I think that would be a bit more kind of better to read, and it helps break up the action a little bit more and adds room for more development to characters, plot, and backstory. So hopefully it gets going. And you know what? I'm already hooked, and I've been kept hooked, and I want to binge read and read it all so I can catch up to the latest chapter. However, there's just a testament to how good the writing to the series actually is. The writing is quite smart, quite kind of interesting and intriguing, and that's what keeps me coming back. So hopefully I've done this review justice. However, those are my thoughts on these arcs. I want to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. As always, if I missed anything, then please feel free to let me know in the comment section. I read these arcs about a week ago, so honestly, I'm going on by memory, and I hope I've remembered everything as well as I possibly could. Otherwise, I will do a follow-up video to give you more of my thoughts and kind of express on different things. So again, if I miss anything, you said, "Oh, what about this interaction?" or "What about this line here?" or "this scene?" Then of course, I can always do that. not an issue. Like this video if you did, and subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me and so you get more content in the future. On that note, I hope you have an amazing day. Arigato, matane, goodbye.